It's set on, it'd be better, you might actually better see me if I turn the camera, and it'd be a better experience for you. So let's flip the camera around. I'm watching over there for what's happening in the chat, and I'll check that every so often. So if you've got any messages, please use them, please enter them there. If you can put your name on there, where you come from as well, if you're happy to do so, that'd be great for me as well. So thanks very much, and let's get started. So last time you saw me prepare a strop. It's sitting under this block of wood. It's been glued there for now nearly, what, 47 hours, and it should be well and truly stuck. We used PVA. It could be slightly flexible, but it's worked on all the strops I've used so far. So the next step, just to get it finished, is to trim off the excess leather. I'm going to use a marking knife, but any sharp knife would do. Put something underneath it if you're working on your bench top, and just carefully score around the edges. It'll help if you've got a sharp knife, for which you probably need to have a strop. So maybe when you do this initially, you'll have a bit of trouble, but once you strop your knife, you'll find it's really easy to trim the leather off. So there we have a new strop. It's not going to do an awful lot like that. It will take the burr off a blade if it's been left from the sharpening stones, but it can't really polish because it's got no abrasive on it. So the next thing you want to do is put some abrasive on there. What I use on leather is this blue polishing compound. So it's an abrasive set within some wax. They come in different colours. The reason they do that is so you know what you're picking up and using. Supposedly, it says on there, avoid contact with skin and eyes. So you should probably have a pair of gloves on or hold it in its bag. Now I've seen lots of people applying lots and lots of this, trying to charge the strop up fully with compound. I've never done that. All I've done is give a coating on there. Fairly easy to come off, and that's adding wax and abrasive to the leather. So I'm not really obliterating the colour of the leather, but I'm getting a coating pretty much all over it. And you can see it's very obvious where you've been, where you haven't been. Now before I show you how I use it, I'm going to talk about an alternative which I used to use before I started on leather, and that was a piece of MDF. And I stropped on this very successfully for years. The only problem I have with this method is the compound eventually builds up a bit, and so it's not totally flat. So regularly I'd have to scrape that off, either with a scraper or with the plain iron before I went to strop it, or before I went to sharpen it. And what I would use on this would be something like a honing compound, or I found that Autosol, which is a chrome and aluminium metal polish, that works really well. So I would just charge with a little dab of that. Take my blade, spread it out with the blade, and basically just stropping like so, and that very quickly polishes the edge. As long as you remove any build up over time, you don't get any problems with it not being flat. Okay, I'm going to check the chat, see if anyone's got any questions for me yet. And I'll also grab a little paper towel to clean that chisel off. Good evening, Lego Man. Good evening, Scott. Good evening, Black V Loco. Good evening, Shrenick. Shreddy, thanks for offering to do a call on this one. It's going to be quite short, so I think on this one I'll say you relax today, and I'll keep checking back on here. But thank you. Scott, is that a question there? No. Okay, no questions yet. That's good. So either I'm telling you in a way you can understand, or you already know what I'm telling you. Either way, that's good for me. So when I've stropped on a paste, I like to clean it off on a rag or a paper towel. And you probably won't be able to see this on the camera, but it does give a lovely polish to the tip of the blade. And in the last video, someone was kind enough to say they'd heard denim was used as a strop. I've never done that before, but I've sacrificed a pair of my old jeans and I'm stapling it onto an offcut of hardwood. And this is just going purely by what I think is probably the best way of doing it. So pulling it on fairly tight so it stays flat and stapling it. I'm pulling it tight because I don't want it to bulge up as I drag an iron back on it. And at the same time I'm not gluing it because I think the glue would come straight through the fabric and cause it to have a lumpy surface. So I think that'll do for demonstration. I haven't tried this before, so I've no idea if it's going to work. So I'll try first of all with the wax-based polishing compound. That goes on easy enough. There is some movement in the denim, so maybe several more staples would be good. I've got every confidence it will work, so I'll just use it to see if it will polish up the chip breaker. And I can see that it's darkening up on here, so clearly it's doing some polishing. So I think if you don't want to use leather, denim would be something to try. It seems to work perfectly okay. So thanks for the tip on that last week. I can't remember who said it, but much appreciated. So that's covered two alternatives. Let's show you on the one we made last time exactly how I strop. So I'll reset this up. When you're stropping, it's best if you can stop the strop from moving around. So I'll just clamp it on the tail vise. Like so. I'm going to be working backwards and forwards, so let's go. So Lego Man's used a piece of denim glued down, but not with wood glue. Thin film of contact spray glue. Okay, and that worked okay, did it? Just let me know, Lego Man, whether that worked for you with the contact glue. Okay, let's see, can I just zoom in a little bit there? Now the idea when stropping is you want the tip of the blade to be nice and sharp. How you get there is on your grinder to begin with, then on the various grits either of sandpaper or of Japanese water stone or natural stone. Whatever you use, you're going down to get a sharp point. At the end of the fixed abrasives like that, you're still going to have some striations in the blade, so you end up really with a bit of a sawtooth. You won't see it unless you've got something like this, a magnifier, but if you look closely after working on stones, you'll see that it's still quite rough on the edge when it's magnified. I shall attempt to show you. What I did was take this spare plane iron that I had, resharpened it, and I've honed this far end. Oh, that's not very clear, is it? So I've resharpened this right across, and then I've just honed this last about 3/8 of an inch. So I'll try and get this so that you can see it. So it's clear to me, but whether you can see there, I can see roughness in the very tip of the blade. Come down to this end and it's nice and polished. So there's a definite difference there. That was purely done by stropping. So we'll try and do with the rest of that iron. If you find the sort of angle you got honed on there, by tipping it up on the bench or something solid, and you'll find the bevels down. That'll be your primary bevel. If you do secondary bevels or tertiary bevels, you'll need to lift a little bit higher than what's comfortable, what seems balanced. And when I strop, I lift just very fractionally more than that as well. So place it on the strop, and I do very large amount of pressure down. I'm not particularly going fast, but I'm going reasonable speed. I can see the strops changing colour as the steel from the blade is being abraded. I'm getting no tear in the leather because I'm keeping the blade flat right across in this direction. I'm just conscious now, seeing there's perhaps a little bit in the shade. Hopefully that's better. So I'm keeping the blade, pretend that's the end of the blade, keeping it flat on there rather than lifting one corner or the other. If you lift the corner, there's a chance that you get so much pressure that you might break the leather. And if you do, I always actually finish by doing the corner, but then I'm doing a lot less pressure. I'll finish the corners like so, but with a lot less pressure. So a few more strokes that direction, and I'll flip the blade over, and on a chisel you want to make sure you're absolutely dead flat. On a plane iron it doesn't matter if you've got a slight angle there. The reason that doesn't matter is because essentially that will just put a very slight back bevel on the blade, which will change the angle of attack when it's in a bench plane from 45 degrees to maybe 45.5. It's not going to make any difference to the way it planes. If, however, you've prepared your iron with a back bevel on the stones, then you do need to lift it up a bit to be able to strop and make sure you're catching the very end of the back bevel. Once more on the other side. And I'm going to bring you nice and close because I can see a little wire edge just flipping from side to side on there. And I remember somebody asked about that last time about removing the wire edge. So if you look very closely at the end of the blade, I don't know whether you'll see it, but occasionally you just get a little glint of light, which is a little wire edge just working its way off. Now, on different steels they'll hang on either for dear life and won't come off, or they'll come off very easily. I'm going to look at in the magnifier for that one. Can't see a wire edge, so I think it's probably gone. But since I saw it hanging on earlier, what I'll do is finish by wiping away from the blade, and that'll pull any loose bits away. Now that blade should be, you should better see, polished on the back side right along the end, and on the bevel side polished right along that edge. And I can tell you that will make your planing a lot more satisfying. Now let's a quick check on the chat, see who else has joined us. Coldwood Cowboy, hi. Never done it on woodworking tools, but in a pinch I've used newspaper on a knife. Yes, somebody told me about using glossy magazine paper as a strop, and that's not something I've tried before. There we go. Yeah, somebody told me that it's possible to use glossy magazine pages as a strop. I tried it, I wasn't too convinced about it. I think it depends what ink you've got, and if you've got an ink that's got some sort of abrasive in there. As I have my leather stuck to strop with. Good, that's a good method. Lego Man's confirming that yes, the denim worked beautifully, and no glue bled free. And he was using the contact adhesive for that, so spray contact adhesive. So that's a good idea. What else we got? Robert, oh hi Robert, don't think I saw you there before. You use a strip of MDF instead of leather? Yep, absolutely. Block of softwood, Shrenik says. Just needs something that can hold the honing compound? Absolutely. Anything with softwood, porous hardwood. In fact, somebody suggested to me MDF end grain. So we've all seen a cut side of MDF where it's quite fluffy. Apparently that holds the honing compound very well. So if you glue up a few sections of MDF on their sides, apparently that works very well. I haven't tried that. Robert's saying, guess a bit of giving leather is better. Both. I used the MDF for I gave up and started using leather. It was a compound longer, and I don't have to clean it as. Saying, however, as leather has a natural abrasive properties too, it's preferred. Why it's wood. It's why wood carvers will strop with paste and then without. Yeah, I've never been convinced as to stropping without any micro abrasives in leather. I don't know. Oh, it's loads of comments this evening, much more than usual. Robert saying plain leather, even finer than the paste. Yep, possibly. Yeah, Stronix saying you do need to have some abrasive property, absolutely. Just because I can't see a wire edge with a naked eye doesn't always mean it isn't one. Absolutely. And another thing with wire edges, they are extremely sharp. So be careful when you're trying to remove them, as I did there, by pulling them off. But also remember that a lot of them will come off on the strop, and when you're handling your strop, if there's a wire edge on there, you could give yourself a very nasty splinter. Strenick saying, why don't I show you how stropping on my hand is done? See, a smiley face came up after that. I don't often do that. I do test blades against the hairs on my arm. That's a demonstration which reasonably easy to do. I can do that in a second. But saying I think that's even if there isn't an abrasive, stropping with will polish the edge. Oh, chat's really lit up tonight, hasn't it? This is great. You know, I say it was a suggestion given to me, and I haven't got round to doing it myself. Try planing the edge of MDF. It blunts your iron very quickly. Yeah, I guess that's the adhesive that's in the MDF. Hello, Sam from Kellyville. Is that okay? Is that Oklahoma? How are things going in the States? Did I hear that Alaska's just gone to Trump? I can't believe how long the elections take over there. It's amazing. All right, I think that's it. I think we've caught up with all the chat. Thank you all very much for coming along. I hope you've learnt something, or at least been entertained by some of the chat that was going on. The next live stream, I hope to do one on Friday, but I don't think I'm going to manage to get around to that. I've got a lot of things on at the moment. And I need to get some things prepared for what I've been requested to do. But anyway, we shall see. I'll let you know. I'll certainly give you 24 hours notice before the next one. So as long as you're subscribed and you've clicked the notification button, you'll hear in plenty of time to check it out. If it's not Friday, the next possible one would be Monday. And I'm probably, although I did 7 o'clock last Monday, I think probably 6 is going to suit me better, and hopefully that's okay for you. This is certainly the busiest one at 6 o'clock. So let's see how it goes next time. Okay, thanks very much, folks. If you're watching this in the replay and you've got any comments or anything, do leave them. I always check my comments and I'll get back to you if you've got any questions. So thanks again for watching. See you next time. Cheers. Oh, yeah. French Talk 101. You can find them on Instagram, and you'll find a link there for their next meeting. And you'll also find them on YouTube with replays of all their previous meetings and some great stuff on there. I've really enjoyed seeing it, and I'm going to be talking on the next one. So, cheerio, folks.